Climber. Today we are talking with a legendary lyricist who's had major cuts. You've heard his songs on TV, on movies, radio, all that good stuff. He's been doing it for a long time. We get to talk to him today. And the amazing thing is, one of the amazing things about him is he accomplished all this without ever moving out of his hometown in Mobile, Alabama. Y'all want to listen up to this one? It's going to be fun. Johnny, do that thing.
Alabama! Welcome to the Climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. I tell you what, every day I'm having more of these conversations with people coming from the old school way of thinking and getting truth dropped on their head and seeing the light. Like, okay, it's a different music industry. Mm-hmm. We got to change our tactics. We got to change our strategies. That's what this podcast is about, y'all. We want you to have the leverage. You don't need anybody's permission, but you got to have a playbook. And that's what we're always talking about here. The Climb, which is why we call it the Climb, C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. That Baxternym is from my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter, who's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols, and more. He's got number ones in Southern Gospel. He's got number ones in Bluegrass just recently from an old title. He's got top tens on Texas radio and in Australian radio. He's nationwide. He's everything to everybody. But you don't care about that. What you care about is if you're a songwriter, he's going to help you turn pro by revealing how you write like a pro, do business like a pro, and then on the regular, he gets you opportunities to meet and interact and be heard by the pros that are going to help you climb that ladder and get to the next level in your career. You can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're helping artists, breaking artists by identifying new fans through data. It's complicated, but Johnny, he does his homework and he keeps up with all this stuff, so you don't have to as much. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S. There's no S because there is no other Johnny D.
Dude, this is a great interview. Like, I can't believe I've like, when it comes to Every Which Way But Loose, like I know both the cats now, like involved with that. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
With I met Steve Dorff, like I said during that interview, like on the Nash Villains set, because he produced one of their tracks and was in their video that I was in the video too, and then we've got Milton here that just crushed it with the with the lyrics on that, man. He's got some stories, bro.
Yeah, that's like right. Today's guest is Milton Brown, and we'll give him the full intro in a little bit. But we're turned on to him by our buddy over at NSAI and friend of the show, and two-time, maybe three-time guest so far, Bart Herbison.
I think he's a four-time guest.
Is he a four-time? I know he wants the record.
He wants the record. I think he's a four-time guest. Because remember, we brought him back on to...
That's right. We did too. Yeah.
The stories behind the song thing, which is great. Which our boy Steve O'Brien was just on, by the way, for his number one with Brooks and Dunn.
Awesome. So, sorry. Yeah, Bart turned us on to Milton, and Milton has a book out and a lot of legendary stories and man, works with so many great people. So we just wanted to have him on today and share him with you. But first, I guess a little bit of business before we get to that.
Let's take care of that business. Thank you, Bar Herbison, too, from me, from Johnny. But we want you to join the Climb community if you haven't done so on Facebook, guys. It's a thriving community. Singers, songwriters, indie artists, indie musicians. We got some pros in there now, too, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. This is, this is a great place where you can get answers to your questions, get support. Shout out from the treetops. Just do it in the right places, guys. We want you to share your new music as a comment on the New Music Monday post, and we want you to share your gigs wherever those are as a comment on Thursday's Gig Alert. And then the one that we celebrate on the podcast itself is the Wednesday Wins, which is called the New Heights. And
Mhm.
comment there. We want to hear like all the wins, all the little wins, the big wins, everything, man. We want you to be we want you to talk about it, and we want you to peacock a little bit, and everybody's gonna love on you for doing it, right? What do we got today?
Yeah, climber Liz Mintis says, I have a new Christmas song that's out on Christian Country Radio, and I was so fortunate to participate in my first Pitch to Pro event last night with Randy Cox. And by the way, that was a songwriting pro event. So good job,
Nice.
Liz. Randy liked her song. So that whole part of connecting with the pros, yeah, it's for real. And she says, after working hard for these past 4 years, it's like getting a wonderful Christmas presents you always dreamed of but never thought you'd receive. So I'm so very thankful. So I'm thankful for you, Liz, for sending a good song for that event. And Randy's thankful as well. So that's great. And also, climber Sunday Joe Graham says, I had the opportunity to share the stage with hit songwriter Scott Sean White at an intimate show in Branson. Still pinching myself. Such a great time. So Scott Sean White, man, cuts by Cody Johnson. Cody just won a CMA award for Album of the Year, I believe. And Scott has stuff on that. And he's been on the show. He's a friend of the show. And of course, Sunday Joe is like family over here. So congrats, y'all. Keep on climbing.
Yeah, good job, Sunday Joe. And who's the first one? Liz?
Liz Mintis, yes.
Liz Mentis. Liz, good job for you too, man. That just, you know what? Those two wins right there, I don't care who you are, that just feels good, man. That's good.
Yeah,
They've been
it
working
does.
so hard, I love
Yep.
that. So make sure you follow the podcast wherever you consume your podcasts. And finally, tell a friend about it, guys. That's really the thing, man. I mean, if you're finding value, if you've been hanging out for a long time, we're delivering something to you. Maybe you can help us deliver it to someone else too. And, help us help them, right?
That's right.
Let's get into this interview, man, with Milton.
All right. Today's guest has penned songs for music legends, including Merle Haggard, Kenny Rogers, Smokey Robinson, Ann Murray, Jimmy Buffett, Glenn Campbell, Roy Rogers, Randy Travis, Blake Shelton, Joe Diffie, and many more. Heck, he even has a Clint Eastwood cut. That made my day. All without ever leaving his hometown of Mobile, Alabama, at least not moving out of it full time. His book, Lyrics from Home, which I'm holding in my hand right here for those of you on YouTube, chronicles his journey from the moment the piano teacher told his parents they were wasting their money to the night at the People's Choice Awards when Every Which Way But Loose won for Best Movie Song. And the book also follows beyond that. Our mutual friend, Bart Herbison over at NSAI, sent him our way, and I'm glad he did. Milton Brown, welcome to The Climb.
Welcome, Milton. How are you?
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm doing good, guys.
Good.
Well, so thank you for sending me your book, Lyrics from Home. So it was fascinating to read. A lot of people in here that names I've heard and either really knew about, like Jimmy Buffett, or people I wasn't as familiar with, like Snuff Garrett, but I'd heard the names and some of this stuff. So it rounded out some of gaps in my knowledge, which was fun. But really today I want to focus on some stuff that I think will be helpful and inspiring and kind of pull the curtain back for our listeners. Our listeners are singers, songwriters, independent artists, music industry people. And so just to kind of help them on their journeys. One thing I love, and I didn't even get to the table of contents yet, it's right there in the intro, is you talked about how you never moved out of Mobile, Alabama. You never moved to LA. You're doing a lot of work in LA, but you would fly there. You said, I tried to fly out at least once a quarter to write with Steve Dorff and other people. And you said, it's not, and so I'm quoting from your book here, it's not the same as being there, but it is better than never going. And today there are so many ways you can write remotely. Of course, I continue to write from home. Home has been the source of some of my best work. So if you can't leave home, or like me, you choose not to, you can still be a successful songwriter. Don't let anyone tell you differently. It's just a hell of a lot harder. Amen.
Amen.
Amen to
I
that.
love that.
Just that by itself is inspiring and could fill up a whole episode, I'm sure, of you just never moved, but you would make trips. Can you dive into that a little bit? Like, why did you choose to stay in Alabama and when a lot of your work was like in California?
Okay, you're freezing on me. You'll have to, but if I'm live, I mean, if you see me, okay, we'll move ahead. All right.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Well, Margaret, my wife, she had a grandmother she dearly loved, and when our first daughter, Margaret, who's a filmmaker now, but when she was born, her grandmother that she practically lived with growing up was the first one to the window to see little Margaret. She called her my precious angel.
Mm-hmm.
And when I signed with Snuff, when I first went out there, he took me in his office and he said, "If you don't move out here, your music, your lyrics will be the last thing I consider."
Mm.
Wow. Everyone else that's on my staff out here now will have a chance before you do. So when I went back, I told Margaret what Snuff had said, and she started to cry.
Mm-hmm.
She did not want to leave Mama, who had raised her. Hey, guys, it was a no-brainer. I wasn't going to break my wife's heart. So the next time I flew out there, I told Snuff my decision. I said, "Look, I'll write from over the phone. I'll fly out once a quarter." And he didn't like it, but he accepted it. And
Mm-hmm.
what changed things, and this is what I'll say to the next generation of writers, one hit will change everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve Dorff, who's been my collaborator for decades,
Mm-hmm.
and he's another interview altogether. But
Mm-hmm.
we, as I said earlier in the book, I'm old enough. Well, I'm older than dirt, and my heroes were the Silver Screen Cowboys, Roy
Mm-hmm.
Rogers, Gene Autry, and Snuff called me one day because he knew that about me.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually had Steve call me, and Steve said, "Can you write a lyric called Hoppy Gene in Me?"
Mm-hmm.
He said, it's for a cowboy, a singing cowboy named Roy Rogers. Oh, my Lord. I mean, I told him, I said, "Hey, I've got it written." And he said, "It's got to, it's Hoppy Gene in Me. It's Hopalong Cassidy, Gene Autry, and the me is Roy Rogers."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that was in the days when you paid like a dime a minute to use long distance telephone. We didn't
Mm-hmm.
have those our little iPhones.
Yeah.
And I called his office before either Steve got there or Snuff got there. His office was on Sunset Boulevard, and that's another whole story. But anyway, Steve, the melody came to him like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot to tell you that it was Snuff that called me, and he said, "Can you write it?" He called me on a weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, I'm flying. I'm sorry. I'm driving to Apple Valley. I told Roy it's been written." And that kind of put pressure on us. Anyway, I had the lyric by the first thing Monday morning, got it out to Steve. It was demoed and taken to Apple Valley by Wednesday. And that
Oh,
was a
wow.
lot of Snuff he was from Lubbock, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't read a note of music, but he knew a hit when he heard it.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd hire people like Steve who understood melody and structure. And when I signed with him, he was producing Sonny and Cher, some of the biggest acts of that time. And so there are a jillion Snuff stories I could tell you. One time he called me and said, "Get out." He had built a house on he had bought half the side of a mountain south of L.A. and
Mm-hmm.
built like his Texas ranch there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what he wanted, but Steve and I drove out there. He hands me a pistol like the cowboys. He
Mm-hmm.
said, "There's a snake loose in my house. Shoot it." I look and it's got all this gorgeous tile that he's imported for this new house he built. I said, "Snuff, if I shoot the snake, I'm going to bust up not just one tile, it's going to be like a ripple effect. I don't give a damn. I can buy more tiles. Shoot the snake." We looked, but we never found it. I tell that story, I think, in the book.
Yes,
The
sir, you
rest
do.
of
Yeah.
that story. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's
Uh,
funny.
but Snuff
Did you get to know Roy Rogers at all?
I got to meet him.
Okay.
When that was a hit, they gave up. Snuff's house was in Bel Air. He flew my wife and me out for the party, and the guest of honor was Roy. Not only that, I got to write with Roy.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
awesome.
On his album, there's a song we wrote, and I can't think of the title right now, but we wrote together. And yeah, I did get to meet him, and Gene Autry came to the party, and we got to meet him too.
Oh, that's
So
great.
just writing, and Rex Allen Sr. and Jr. I got to meet. Rex Jr. Did a song called "The Last of the Silver Screen Cowboys,"
Mm-hmm.
and that had Roy and his daddy Rex Sr. And that was a hit too. I mean, getting to write for these heroes of my childhood my career would have been great if that was all that happened.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
some things, it's funny. Some of those stories I already underlined and wanted to bring up today as well. But the Hoppy
Mhm.
Gene and Me, yeah, it says basically you only had a couple days to get the sucker done because Snuff had already told him, yeah, it's done. It's written. Yeah, we'll get it to you like on Wednesday. Then calls you and is like,
That
we
wasn't
got to write
Happy
this thing.
Gene. That was oh, I'm not pulling it up. Every Which Way But Loose is the one you're talking about now. That
Oh,
was
was that way too? Because it talked about.
that was the big Eddie Rabbit hit for Clint Eastwood. Is that the story
Well, I'm
you
looking at the story actually of you, the picture with you at Snuff's house, talking about the pressure that Snuff said. I told Roy it's
okay,
already
yeah,
written,
okay, yeah,
and now
okay, yeah,
calls you to write it. And I think that's just amazing. That kind of pressure to
right,
just think about that. Your childhood matinee kind of idol, Roy Rogers, one of the coolest cowboys ever, and you're like, okay, you got a couple days to write. Here's the title. It's very specific. Now work for that. Like, how do
right.
you approach something like that? That is so like, here's your homework assignment, and it's very
Yeah,
specific.
the guardrails are tight on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
boy. That's a funny story too. Snuff at first didn't think he should take a piece of writers,
Mm-hmm.
but if he came up with the title legitimately, he was a co-writer,
Mm-hmm.
and that was his title. But it was kind of funny. Snuff, bless his heart. I mean, I owe so much to him, but there was a song where one of my lines was "My guitar and $15 between me and all alone."
Mm-hmm.
Snuff heard it. He says 50,
Yeah.
and what he instead of "my guitar and $15," he wanted "my guitar and $50," and that made him a writer on the song.
And he made a
Are
lot more than
you?
50.
Yeah, right. No,
A
look,
word
I
for
was.
a third on that. Word for a third.
Yeah,
Right.
he did. He did, as a matter of fact. But No, the giants in the industry that he produced really made a lot of good things happen.
Yeah, and well, it's funny because another thing that I'd underline to talk about, you touched on already as well, is the fact that Snuff couldn't read music, but he could hear a hit, and he knew to surround himself with people like yourself, with people like Steve Dorff, and I just wanted to highlight the fact of teamwork that we don't. And you're a lyricist as well, and not a melody writer, right? So that's
Well,
where
I
some
can
of
do both, but
you can do both.
yeah, that was when I first started back in Mobile. I found out real quick there weren't any publishers that were going to get my stuff to the major artists. I had a few local releases.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in fact, one that charted, but it didn't do anything because of they just without connections.
Right.
And so I was looking for a publisher, and I found Bill Lowry in uh, in Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, he had a number of artists signed to him. Plus, he was getting stuff to the major artists. I sent him like 5 little guitar voice demos of
Mm-hmm.
mine songs, and he called me right away, and he said, "I love your lyrics. I don't think your melodies are as strong." And
Mm.
as we happen to have signed a young guy who's still at the University of Georgia, and I told him the opposite. His melodies are great, don't like his lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
That was how I met Steve Dorff. And Margaret and I drove to Atlanta. I signed with Bill. That was the start. But it wasn't until Steve went to the West Coast. He wanted to write for film and TV. That was his
Mm-hmm.
4 hit shows. So when young Steven, the actor, was born, Steve and Nancy drove to Mobile. They stayed with us while Steve went out to the West Coast. But that's his story. It's a great story.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but he signed with Snuff,
Mm-hmm.
and they were going to move. They did move to L.A., and that was the rest of that story. Uh, it was Cotton Carrier at Lowry Music who put the two of us together.
Mm.
One of you write great melodies, the other guy, we like his lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
That was how it all started.
Yeah, I think that's so important for writers to know, like, okay, you can write both, but if you can upgrade by partnering with somebody else and who also has connections, who moved to where the music scene was, right? It certainly didn't hurt to have kind of boots on the ground, to have Steve working things from his end out in LA, where a lot of people are, a lot of the action is. And so I think that's a lesson and a guidepost for songwriters who don't live in New York, LA, or Nashville, who want to have success. Part of that is you do have a presence through your co-writers. So one
Right.
is find co-writers who are great at, who could level you up with what you do. The other one is it gives you a presence through them in those different areas, which I think was probably key for you. It's probably huge.
And that never changes. I mean, the stuff that the battles I had to fight, well, this early on, this was before computers, if you can
Mm-hmm.
imagine that. I mean, you're still writing pen on paper
Mm-hmm.
uh, and manual typewriters. Uh, I have a picture of Jimmy Buffett as a young guy in my office at Mobile working, typing on a lyric.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what it was, but on a manual type, he came to me because we had typewriters. Now, it seems crazy now. Look, their fights will probably be with stuff like artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the art of artificial intelligence is at a point now where it can replace human emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Artificial intelligence is no more than what is what has been inputted, right? If that's a word. Because what? It is artificial. So somebody told me that, well, you're a lyricist, but artificial intelligence is going to take your job. And I said, well, let me see. So I went to, what is it, Chat
GPT.
Chat GPT, yeah.
And I said, Chat, I want you to write me a lyric. I want it to be for a country artist, sentimental. I wanted the structure to be verse, chorus, and a 2-line tag. And it's got to be sentimental. It's got to touch the heart. Well, in my little example, I wrote the lyric, and his sweetheart dies, and in that 2-line tag, the surgeon's knife touches her heart. I said, that did what I asked. It had to touch the heart.
Yeah.
But that's the difference between artificial intelligence and human intelligence. And I said,
emotional intelligence.
I think there'll be
emotional
a place
intelligence. Like artificial intelligence hasn't had a crappy childhood that requires the person to either get it out in the form of lyrics and melody or climb a tower with a gun. You know what I mean? That's where the soul comes from, man.
I agree.
I think there are. I mean, I've played around with it too a good bit just to see what it can do, and some of its lyrics are better than some of my first early lyrics. Right when I was a novice, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah,
so it's like, okay, well, you're better than the worst.
That I never could get cut.
But yeah, it's not replacing professionals at this point. Like, it can't outright a professional. Now, there may be reasons why people want to save a buck and don't think people will care, and they'll try to cut out songwriters, as people often try not to pay us. Looking at you, Spotify. But as far as touching the heart, it's not anywhere near passing humanity at this point. It's like the best writers. They can beat the bad writers.
Right.
But they aren't going to get those songs cut anyway.
Right. That's amen. You hit it right on the nose. Yeah. And so that's why I'm saying, hey guys, girls, don't give up. I mean, if you got to outright your competition, and that's true whether it's other songwriters or artificial intelligence.
Right.
Yeah,
that's true.
And
hey, Milton, what year was that Hoppy that you wrote the song for Roy Rogers?
Gosh, I'm not sure.
It says, because I have the book in front of me, 1979.
Okay.
Hoppy Gene and Me was written in 1979?
Yeah. Does that what it says?
It says 1979. Not long after Steve moved to California, you got the call about Hoppy Gene and Me. Yep.
Okay. That sounds right. That sounds right. I came back from a tour of duty in Germany in 1968. So 11 years later, after, trying to play. That's about right. The Clint Eastwood stuff was Every Which Way But Loose was, I think, 1984, if I remember correctly.
Probably that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So yeah, Every Which Way But Loose. Tell us about that, because that's, definitely one of your top hits, one of the most identifiable, just country songs, period.
Yeah.
And it was a big movie. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that. Because it caught a little flack, right? This one thing I thought was interesting and want to talk about is that even though it was a hit, there was a little bit of controversy about some of the language in it, but not the way you would think about language causing a controversy.
You're right. I got criticized because the second line said long-term obligations are just unnecessary things. Country people don't talk like that. Yes, they do. But
you're like, I'm from Mobile. I just came up with that. I'm country.
Right.
I just said it. What do you mean we don't talk like that?
As far south as you can go in Alabama without swimming. We're right down here on the Gulf. But anyway, no, Steve called me up one day, and it was another one of these hurry up quicks. He said, "Can you write a lyric called Every Which Way But Loose?" I said, "Sure." He said, "What does it mean?" I mean, he's from Queens originally. And I said, if you've been turned every which way but loose by a girl, you know what that means. Well, can you write it? I said, yeah, but why? He said, Clint Eastwood doesn't like everything that's been submitted for his title song. And if you can write Every Which Way But Loose, Snuff will play it for him. That was another one where I just stayed up the rest of the night writing the thing, called Snuff's office, dictated it to the secretary. This is even before we could use the various things we can. Now, there were no
Couldn't email it.
text, you couldn't email it.
There were no
Right.
fax machines then, I don't think, right?
Didn't even have faxes yet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so anyway, I wrote it, and Steve and Snuff drove out to the Warner Brothers lot. Steve sat at the piano. Clint came in. Steve played him what we had written, and my wife just turned on the lights. So now you got. Do you want to turn it off so everything will be consistent?
No, you're fine.
No, you're good. You're good.
We can see your beautiful face a little better now. I like
There you
it.
go.
Oh, okay. You're gonna run your listeners, your viewers off though. Anyway, Steve played it for Snuff, and Snuff said, "Play it again."
Hmm.
And Steve played it again. Snuff said, "That's it." And
Nice.
just like that, Steve and I had the title song for one of his giant movies,
Hmm.
where he rides around in a truck with an orangutan.
Right.
But no, on the strength of that, we got to write Any Which Way You Can, which was the sequel, Bronco Billy, where he does one of our songs as a duet with Merle Haggard. We're barroom buddies.
Barroom Buddies. Did you write that too?
I did write that. We're
I
barroom
loved all those
buddies.
movies, man. I loved all those movies, and I love those songs. Like, that's so
Thank
great.
you so much. Yeah.
Mhm.
That was a great ride while he was doing his Clyde.
Hmm.
Right turn, Clyde.
Right turn, Clyde.
Right.
And Bronco Billy, man, we're barroom buddies because that's the best kind. Nobody fools with a buddy of mine. Like, I love
You
that.
got it right. That's the lyric. Yeah.
I know those by heart, man.
And I love that. Just, one thing we like to do on this show is explode excuses, right? Just tackle them to the ground and don't let them back up. So here's a guy that was in Mobile, Alabama, got a call, quick turnaround, need a song for a movie, no internet, no fax machines, I'm going to call it, I'm going to dictate it, and my buddy in, LA is going to be able to play it. But just the fact that I'm thousands of miles away is not going to stop me from writing the song and having it happen. And I just love that. Some people would use that as an excuse, like, "Oh, I didn't move. I guess, that was my career. That was my shot, but you made it happen anyway," which I have mad respect for. So I love that.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yes. And so the Jimmy Buffett stuff is interesting because Jimmy's from Mobile, and the song you wrote that he recorded was called "The Christian."
That was his lyric he came to me with.
Okay. And so tell us about that. Like, how did you get involved in that song then?
Well, that's a long story, but there was a question in my mind writing that as to whether we'd catch a lot of flack because the whole idea of the song is the line that said, "Could you really call yourself a Christian if charity cost half as much as beer?" Well, I said, "Jimmy, you sure you want to go with this one?" "Hell yes." and it got a lot of airplay. I mean, it was on that first album.
Mm-hmm.
Thought I still
Was
had
it
it
Down to
here.
Earth or?
Yeah, Down to Earth, where he's sitting in a car that's been underneath a pile of rubble.
Right, yeah. That's before Jimmy kind of found the beach, right? When he was doing more of the
I tell
folky
people
stuff.
that people ask me all the time uh, when it happened for him is when he took off his shoes and got sand between his toes,
Mm-hmm.
and he came to see Margaret and me about, I think it was 10 months before he died, and he had told me that he had this cancer, but he hadn't told me a lot about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going, I think it was to MD Anderson and some other place for a new treatment that he hoped was going to cure him.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a great visit.
Oh.
There's some of that in the book too.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I was finishing the book, getting ready to have it published when we got the news that he had passed away.
Oh man.
And so anyway, I'm part of some things that are happening now that will be coming out that will hopefully honor him the way he needs to be honored.
Right on.
Yeah.
But getting back to what you asked me about the trials that I had living in Mobile and writing for the West Coast and for Nashville, there on the cover of my book,
Mm-hmm.
if you held it up,
There we go.
the reason that cover is like it is,
Mm-hmm.
I had this idea. I said, the writers today are not going to believe the circumstances of when I started. They're going to think I had to use carrier pigeons to get my lyrics to marketplace.
Right.
So I called my good friend that was helping me, Ted Denson, and I said, Ted, and I told him this idea that I had of using a carrier pigeon to take my lyrics to marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Within half an hour, he called me back, and he'd found this man that has carrier racing pigeons,
Mm-hmm.
and he agreed to bring some to my house, and we do the photo shoot and make the cover happen. And it's a good thing he brought multiple pigeons because he showed me how to hold them so that they couldn't escape.
Mm-hmm.
But that first one blasted off. I mean, left me empty-handed with a stupid look on my face. Thank goodness I didn't use.
Some of my songs have done that to me too. So it's,
Well, wait, the pigeons don't come back?
they're they fly back to their home.
Oh, okay.
oh,
Carrier pigeons would, like, his home was somewhere, I think, northeast of where I was, and we used two of the carrier pigeons, and they both beat him home. So
Wow.
his
That's
name
cool.
was Wib Magley, the guy that owned the carrier pigeons,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
he helped make my cover.
That's funny. And it is. You just hope you let using the metaphor of the cover, you set them off and you hope they just find their way home. You hope they find a good home.
Right.
So that's great.
I actually I met Steve Dorff and was able to hang out with him on the set of a Nash Villains music video. He produced the Nash Villains, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And he produced that one track, and so I was just hanging out with him and getting some of those stories. It was pretty wild.
Yeah. He's probably a whole lot better interview than me.
Well,
You
I'm
probably
enjoying
what?
this one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So there's one thing that really I mean, there's a lot of great stuff in this book, so I recommend it to our listeners out there, called Lyrics from Home. But do you tell a story of how you lost a carpenter's cut over what seems like the most minor of reasons? And this is the kind of stuff that drives songwriters to drink. Stuff like this. Can you tell us the carpenter's story?
Yeah. We had written a song that Steve had a carpenter's cut already, so he knew the people.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a guy that listened before Richard would listen,
Mm-hmm.
and he had said right before I flew out there, it just happened that the timing was like that. He said, "I like it. I'll play it, and if they like it, it's a deal."
Mm-hmm.
So the whole day went by that he was supposed to call us back, and no phone call.
Mm-hmm.
And I was begging Steve. I said, "Steve, you got to call the guy. Gee, we need." Well, he knew what it meant to us, so he said, "If you'll come to my office tomorrow, I'm going to tell you why he passed."
Okay.
Oh, it was already, that was a downer.
Yeah.
But we go to his office, and he said, "In this line, you say and Richard hears but, a conjunction." I thought about the line, and it wouldn't change anything. I said, "I got no problem if he wants to change and to but."
Mm-hmm.
No, no, we were told it's got to be like he'll use it or he passes.
No changes.
And I said, "Over in conjunction?" He said, "Yep."
Wow.
He thinks that if he passes with one word, the next guy's going to want a sentence, the next guy's going to want a paragraph. So his rule is no changes. And we lost that over a conjunction. That's the
Wow.
most extreme one. I mean, look, there are lots of disappointments. A lot of times you think your song is perfect for the project, but you're not the artist or the producer.
Right.
I mean, look, I tell people in the book, if you're not having fun, it's the wrong thing to do. You're going to have setbacks,
Amen.
but it's a lot of fun when it works. It's
Amen.
worth the setbacks. So guys and girls, don't let anybody tell you you can't. You can. You just got to work your tail off,
Mm-hmm.
but have fun doing it.
And that's the thing. I mean, because it's okay, losing a cut over a conjunction. That's just brutal. And, at least you got the feedback to know what it was. Most of the time, songwriters, like in my position, don't get the feedback. We don't know what it was. It might have been something that minor, or I lost a cut recently that, oh, well, the singer brought in this song and it has a similar vibe to yours that someone else in the band brought in, and that one just won out. It wasn't because it was a bad song. It's like, well, lead singer and the similar vibes. You can't have them both. And all the stuff that we can't control and is not really a comment on our song. Like the conjunction is like really probably comes down to personal preference, or so many things might, and we're just not in that room. And I think that's part of why people like to write with the artist, because Richard would have said, "I think it should be but," and you go, "Yes, sir." And you're off to the races.
Right. But we weren't there.
You weren't there. And so that's one of the reasons I think people will try to write with the artist so much. But that's the other reason you just kind of have to let them go and go, there's some stuff that it may not get cut, but it's not because it's not a great song or a really well-written song. It just may not be right for that project or that time, or they may, for some reason, don't like blue cars, and you put a blue car in the song, and that's enough for them to not do it. Stuff that we
Amen.
can't even conceive
You're
of.
right. You're right, and that's part of this biz.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the way it is. And look, he may have listened to our song, and then the next song he listened to was the perfect fit.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it? I mean, he wasn't going to use ours because he didn't change. He didn't change anything.
Mm-hmm.
But you always have to realize that there are other people out there that want those opportunities, want those cuts. That was true of the first Nashville cut that I ever got.
Mm-hmm.
I was so ignorant about the process, I really thought I had a chance. And that was a song when I hadn't signed with anybody. I was still in Mobile, and I was doing a folk song once a week. I'd go play on this local TV show. Don Davis, who was a crackerjack steel guitar player. Did you know Don?
No, sir. No, sir.
I've heard
Yeah,
of Don.
yeah.
I don't know him, but
Well,
I've heard of him.
anyway, my little thing was on every Wednesday. I followed Breakfast with the Parson, where the preacher said a prayer, drank coffee with him, and then it was time for my folk song.
Mm-hmm.
And Don said, people used to write in and say I sounded like Ernest Tubb. I don't know whether that was a compliment or not, but it was a compliment to me. To me, I like it. And he said, Ernest Tubb's going to do what'll probably be his last album with Loretta Lynn.
Mm.
I said, I want to cut on that. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, all in Nashville would be pitching for that. But here I am in Mobile, and I was so ignorant of the industry. I wrote a song, an embarrassing title. I won't cheat again on you if you won't cheat on me. I think about that now. Anyway, I couldn't find a country female to do the Loretta Lynn part. I sang the Ernest Tubb part because I'd been told I sounded like Ernest. And I sent it off. Margaret and I had honeymooned in Nashville, had just gotten back to my little, what was formerly a bachelor pad. It was a tiny place.
Mm-hmm.
Let me turn this off.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can fix it so that won't happen anymore. Well, it doesn't want. Anyway, she answered the phone. She said, it's somebody that says she's Mrs. Ernest Tubb.
Yeah.
I said, it's some of my crazy ass music friends that they want to play a trick on me. They knew I was getting home today.
Mm-hmm.
I answered the phone, and she, in this soft Southern voice, said, Milton, E.T. likes your song. If he can have publishing, he wants to cut it with Loretta Lynn. I'd never even thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure, I said. She said, well, what performing rights organization do you belong to? I don't belong to one. Well, E.T. has been with BMI since they came to Nashville. I said, I'll call them when we hang up.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been with BMI ever since then. But anyway, even though the world wanted the chance for that album, that opened so many doors for me because it was two legends doing their last recording together.
Mm-hmm.
So, and here's the serendipity about that particular one. I happened to be in Nashville. I was working for my dad at the time. Had nothing to do with music, but I had a job in Nashville. I called the Ernest Tubb record shop and I said, "Do you have any idea when E.T. is going to go into the studio?" "No, but if you leave your name and number, we'll call you back."
Hmm.
I get back, and there's a note in my box. It said, "Be at Bradley's barn, 8 o'clock tonight." And it was signed E.T.
Huh.
I got to sit with his family to watch Loretta Lynn and E.T. record my song.
Oh,
Oh, that's
wow.
great.
Is that serendipity or what?
That is awesome. Wow. Yeah, those are two legends, and I think not knowing that you didn't have a chance gave you a chance, right?
That
There's a little bit of that.
Hey, yeah, keep writing. You never know if you have the one that ignites the spark. Good things happen.
Hmm. Well, I think just as we're winding down here, there's another story in the book that is amazing. It has to do with Merv Griffin and a song that you decided not to put lyric to. And everyone out there listening knows this song. Can you tell us that story?
Well, Merv had cut a song of ours on an album that really didn't do a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
But because he loved the lyric I'd written, the next time I came out to write on Snuff's projects, he had said, "Come to my show." He had a TV show. So
Mm-hmm.
I visited the set of the TV show, and he said, "I'd love to write with you." He said, "Let me play you this lyric that I've got. Dun, 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 dun." I said, Merv, in all truthfulness, I think it doesn't sound like a song. It sounds like it could be to introduce a TV show,
Like a theme, a musical
Mm-hmm.
theme.
definitely like a theme or whatever. And he said, "Well, okay." The next thing I heard was on this new show of his, Jeopardy.
Mm.
It was the theme. And I thought to myself, if I had written the words to that theme, that thing's still playing.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's
Da,
been,
da,
what,
da.
40 years ago.
Wow.
And it still plays in prime time. But I told him what I thought was the truth. It sounds like theme music. I
Yeah.
was right,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a
You
big
were right.
mistake.
Because if
Yeah.
you put words to it, it might not have ended up on Jeopardy either.
Well, you
Yeah.
never know. You never know. Right.
Yeah.
He might have listened to what I said. It's a good theme,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
when his Jeopardy show came along with Alex Trebek, as
Mm-hmm.
long as he lasted. But uh, anyway, that's that story.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And I think, just being honest and not looking for how can I get myself on every song, but just being honest with Merv, television
Right.
legend, by the way. So the Merv Griffin show and so many shows he's behind. So if y'all don't know who Merv Griffin is, look him up. The list is long of stuff he's been a part of.
Did he invent like half the game shows that ever existed too? Like,
I don't. I'm not your answer because I don't know it all. So,
Yeah, but probably it's like one of
yeah,
those cats, like was so
yeah.
responsible
right.
for. But just to be an honest, broker of like an honest writer going, I'm not trying to get on everything. What's the best? I don't think this needs words, even though that's what I do,
Right.
and I might be able to get a part of something. I think that's cool just to be, can be an honest resource for people. And I think there's a lesson in that of, we don't have to try to get on every single thing, even if it doesn't make it better, but it's better if I'm on it. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting bit of trivia there too. But man, so the book is Lyrics from Home. I'll show it again for y'all on YouTube. Those of y'all listening. So Lyrics from Home, where can people find you? Where can they find the book? There's many other stories in there and a lot of your lyrics and stuff. So it's a good read.
Well, yeah. It's on Amazon.com. Just go to Amazon and type in lyrics from home. It'll take you to the book. It tells a lot of the story. I'm sorry. It'll tell you a lot of the maybe more than you want to read.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Milton. It's been a joy. It's a joy to read the book. Thank you again to Bart Herbison. Bart, if you're listening, thank you again for sending Milton our way so we could hang with this master of the craft and successful songwriter. So,
Yes, thank you, Bart. Thank you, Milton.
Yes, sir.
And I thank you both.
Hey, one quick question: Are you connected with any of the local Mobile artists and/or songwriters?
One I'm working with now, but I can't tell the story.
You can't? Okay.
I can't.
I just wondered if we have a mutual friend. I'll ask you maybe after we're not recording or something. But we got a mutual friend, I think, maybe down there. That
okay. Well, okay.
That'd be good. We'll talk about
probably
it.
So. We got some talented people.
Yeah, you really do. You really do. Well, thank you again, Milton. Guys, this brings us to the end of another Killer Climb episode. I mean, you got some legendary value bombs in this one here. Mm-hmm. Where can they get the book, Milton? Is there
only on Amazon.com?
Okay,
you just go to Amazon and
we'll put a link to that in the show notes so that everybody can.
Yeah, can I tell that little story real quick?
Sure.
Okay. When the marketing options were given to me, I was talking to the publisher about pricing, and they said, "What if we price it at?" It's only available in paperback, by the way. I mean, I know that I didn't write Gone with the Wind. This is going to appeal to primarily lyricists and songwriters, which is enough of a market. And the whole idea was to tell the next generation, you can do it. As you said, quoting from the book, it's just a hell of a lot harder.
Yeah.
So that was my object. So they said, we generally price this at $19.95. What do you think? I said, it's too much, lower. And they said, well, what do you think about $15.95? And I said, what do you think about $12.95? And they looked at me like,
you're not doing this to make money, are you?
Nobody does this. But anyway, it's available like on an ebook, or it's available in the paperback. So I hope that somebody reads it, and when they have their first giant hit based on encouragement that you guys made possible, I hope they let me know.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah. I love that. And thank you for, that book was really a labor of love and a way to help up and coming songwriters. And you just proved that by fighting with Amazon to get a lower price.
Yes.
I love that. That's the best story ever. So thank you, Milton, guys. This podcast exists because we want you to win. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.